to continue talking about the Bluetooth logging that was in part one, for like the timestamp at point A, photograph of the car, and using like Meshtastic type stuff to with other stuff attached to it every every like 9 miles, 8 miles, and like it's not like you can't really like use it as a reliable or validate it. But the thing is like there's certain people out there in the community that you can use it on that do speed, and it would make them stop speeding. And the things that you can validate by the other Bluetooth logs in the city, the picture of the car, the tag that are taken, and so when they decide to go, to a place 60 miles away, they've got the address, they pass past the points on a 2-lane road, and that's all there is from between the two cities. In a situation like that, you can use that and send that person a warning, which in turn will make them think that they got stuff out there that can identify that I was speeding. I know I was speeding and I got a warning. Maybe it can be a special warning that's not really against the record because of the way the unsecurity of it. But the thing is you can find those situations where you can with logs that have been accumulated on that address and picture, tag the car, and say we can send this person. And what I think that would be about is you would only be able to affect so many people with that, but at the same time it could save lives, and it could not only just save lives in a particular area, but in their mind they will think, I never know where one of these things are. Am I going to get a warning because I try and speed again? Or have they made it so I can get a ticket now? Have they put a camera there? Like the thing, the warning I got, it said a Bluetooth log. We had a valid way of validating it, and we're pretty sure it was you. We think you were speeding. However you want to say it. But the thing, it'll put it in their head and it'll make them do it everywhere. Like in neighborhoods where there's kids playing. Like they'll do the speed limit. Like people in neighborhoods sometimes is out of control, and I think like stuff like that'll mess with their heads, to the people where you can kind of validate it, and it'll be effective on that. Not saying mess with people's heads, just a thing like you get any number of amount of people slowing down and doing the speed limit, partially because of paranoia. And then not knowing if they actually put a camera in their area, because maybe it's a big problem there, and because of the Bluetooth logging they were actually able to see that it's a huge problem. So when is a camera going to go up there? They'll just start doing the speed limit everywhere. I understand that because of it being unsecure, or potentially fallible, it's not a great source, but there are people that can be influenced, and I really believe that would affect saving lives all over the place, but yeah, the Bluetooth thing is would be a hit and miss, but the point is it could change. It wouldn't really cost a lot of money, I mean, for to put one every so far, and you start putting, little more power, directional antenna, whatever the government can do. I'm just saying, like, we can implement stuff like that, and that's just one example, and it's an example of how it's fallible, but yet it can be used to influence some people to just do the speed limit because they really don't know if they're actually going to get the ticket, and no one is around to give them the ticket. So that's like one example with Bluetooth logging cameras and measuring the distance and the time it took to point A to point B, and you just do it all over the city with all the traffic lights everywhere a car goes, between every intersection. They speed between one intersection and it's done, dude. You get a couple warnings or whatever, and then it starts costing them money, and that unfortunately is what seems to matter to people. So like, the police officers' jobs, instead of wasting their time on these petty issues that a system can monitor in ways that you can use some of it to help other people just obey the law, so less accidents and there's less risk. And that would basically, if police officers, at least in cities where there's cameras and it can be validated by the system, and if they want to dispute it, it can be validated again by a human. But the thing is like in the cities, people would just obey the laws in the cities, they would. I mean, and to take a little further in the cities, like in a cell phone, dude, the sensors in a cell phone are insane, and the thing is the magnetometer, I think it's called, like I can imagine ways where something like that and GPS speed and stuff could be used to tell if you run a stop sign, and I mean, like a magnetometer, I mean, I don't know what type the sensors are. Maybe they should develop a standard that goes into all of them so they all kind of have the same value. And I don't know, put a freaking magnet at the corner by a stop sign and, measure the field to see if they stopped, I mean, everybody's sacrificed, their privacy on a corporate personal level. I mean, so, what's wrong with, actual, hardware in the phones, the sensors in the phones actually being utilized to issue citations and stuff like that. I mean, Google, like your phone, the battery in your phone, your bandwidth that you pay for when you're limited, like Google and updates for apps, like, let me say this, the data that they give you, dude, your phone just practically consumes it, and so like your data's out the window. For one, they're using your phone for that. Not only that, if they took all the adware and spyware off of phones, the battery would last twice as long. It would, maybe longer. As an example, I installed Windows on a laptop, and I nothing installed on it, just the base install, and that's what I did. Updates, and then I just let it run until the battery went dead. On the Windows machine, it died. The Linux machine I put Linux on the same machine, same thing, everything, and the Linux machine lasted 20 minutes longer, idling with me telling the screen to stay on and idling with nothing installed, just set up and letting it run. So they're using your battery life with your phone. They're using your data. All these apps are using data, and so they've already got all your personal data. They know everywhere you go. They're the data brokers. People can go buy data from them, and they make your phone go dead twice as fast. So there's all this is already happening. So why can't simple things be used at intersections or whatever, and then the hardware in the phone have a standard so that it can be used to issue citations, so people actually obey the laws and don't run stop signs and hit other people and accidents happen. All this has happened. I don't understand what the difference is in people, their personal privacy in their homes being completely sacrificed 100%. But when they go into public where other people see them and all that stuff happens, they seem to have a problem with the implementation or utilization of existing stuff. I just really can't wrap my mind around it, because the thing is if stuff like that was implemented and the existing infrastructure was used in schools, cameras, audio, and AI that monitors for bullying. Dude, I don't think anyone has the right to go into a school, be a student of a school, be another peer in a class for the school, and go up to a Jewish student and say something that is completely inappropriate, unacceptable, and nothing ever happens about it. Or to be able to say something to a kid in a class, or walking from between classes. You know what, I'll say this. When I used to run from class to class to my locker because they wouldn't let you take more books than just your class, I would run from class to class to class as much as I could without being stopped, so I didn't get beat up. You know, you have something to monitor for stuff like that, dude. A kid does not run from class to class to class all day. An algorithm can see that stuff, flag it. A school administrator can look at it, a principal, whatever you want to call it, and deal with these students that want to say mean, harmful, hurting things. And I'll take that a little further in schools. Children, when certain things are going on in their lives, they do things, certain facial expressions, they act a certain way. Algorithms can be trained to identify that type of stuff, so the situations that children are dealing with in their homes that they cannot help with it, not help, but be there, an outside source can identify it and address the issue. You know, like what? So it's like, what I'm saying is cops get the bad name. All these citizens end up having problems with cops. Government officials say we got to do something about the cops, disband them, do something else. These guys say we need more cops that are causing the problems and don't want the technology. Do people actually want solutions for their children in schools, for autistic children, for children with disabilities, and everybody to be in an environment where the next generations can prosper into a more creative societies around the world, and explore themselves more than exploring how much time someone wants you to go spend working. So it starts in the schools. The schools can deal with what's going on at home if the algorithms identify certain behaviors, so they can be addressed. And the child does not have to suffer like I did, like Jan did. And things can be addressed in public. We have half the infrastructure there, and we can implement things just to make it so people obey the speed limits, you know? Like seriously. Like obey the speed limits. I mean, and cause less accidents. But these guys over here, they want to talk about make situations and create situations like Richard Sackler did with lying about the addictiveness of it, and I've witnessed what happened, and them, you know, wanting to give them more the pharmaceutical companies more protection, and then they don't want this technology and all this. And then there's a solution here that will help what everybody wants. Look, I don't care what religion it is in the world, Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, it's all about people self-policing and creating a system that's self-policing. Well, you know what? It failed horribly. It did. It's never going to work. Now we have the switch, the BOD, AI, half the existing infrastructure to solve a lot of problems, and we don't want to use it. Everybody says they want solutions. Everybody says they want solutions. But when you start talking about the actual solutions, no one wants to do it. But they'll sacrifice everything in their personal lives, and the ad will show up in front of you on whatever device, and they'll let all that happen. People can buy it, but they won't let in public. They don't want in the public environment, which is not your private environment, in your car, in your house. They have a problem with it happening there. I'll tell you what it is. One person who votes and says something about it, they may say something about it, but it isn't what they're really thinking. They don't want the possibility that someone ends up with some data while they were at a restaurant while their wife was doing something else with another woman. That's one reason why we don't have it. The second reason is there's a lot of people, politicians, businessmen, that go to a lot of places and engage in activities that they may not get in trouble for, but they're not good for the rest of the world. Or they could get in trouble for, and this technology would catch them. They don't want a trail of data and addresses, fingerprints of devices, leading to possible like something happening at a place where they were, or where someone like they say a bunch of people a bunch of lawyers hang out a bunch of place, and they do this and that, and then a few of them go over to this place and a few go here, and something happened over here. They don't want the trail that something happened here, but the government also knows that all these people hang out here, and they saw this guy who's known to be a drug dealer over there. That's the second reason. That's the second reason. And I'll just stop there and let you all use your imagination on why people actually don't want to utilize the solutions that we could have, but yet they've completely sacrificed their entire private life to corporations so they can put ads in front of you. Come on, an algorithm can tell a woman is pregnant before the doctor or the woman knows. That's something to think about. You're letting all that happen in your house when you hit agree on an app. But in the public arena where people are and shit is being seen, no one wants it to happen out there. Do you want solutions that work or will partially work, and if they don't completely work, they can be altered, they'd be developed to work? Or do you want a bunch of people who create problems, complain about them, and then offer authoritarian solutions without the technology that actually leads to behavioral literacy, social responsibility, and a distribution of the wealth?